Have you ever heard the phrases, giving is better than receiving, or that you should give more than you take? Well, I know I have. And if you heard those phrases before, it's time you let them go and eliminate them from your entire mentality. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. Aloha, beautiful souls. This is Ryan of Transolution, here to help you along your spiritual journey of deep transformation and self discovery. So, we were just talking about those phrases of giving more than you take, or giving is better than receiving. And I would say that although the intention behind those phrases is really, really good, and those are things that can serve maybe as a guiding post for some people at different stages of their life, I would say that if that is part of your integral belief system, then that is actually stopping you from attaining abundance. And how do we know that? Well, let's start this conversation off by talking about this character from one of the movies that I watched recently that I've come to adore quite a bit, and that movie is Encanto. And so, or Encanto, so I don't say it all like Americanized. And for those of you that don't know much about Encanto, no worries. It's basically a story. I'll recap it for you. It's a story about a family who escaped from their home village because it was getting robbed and looted and there was violence there. So they escaped. And when they escaped, the father of the family sacrificed himself so that his family could escape to safety. And from his sacrifice, there was a candle that formed. And what was this candle all about, you ask? Well, what this candle actually did was create this magical home, this magical casita for his family to live in. So his wife and his three children that he left behind. Now, that's not where the magic ends here, folks. No, 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 not at all. What was really cool about this candle is it granted special abilities to all of the family members. What does this have to do with what we're talking about in this video? Hang in there. You'll see in just a moment. So, one of the characters who I personally relate to a lot, her name is Luisa. Blanked on that for a minute. So her name is Luisa Madrigal. Do any of you know who that is in the movie? Do you know who I'm referencing? She is one of the older sisters, one of the granddaughters of this guy who sacrificed himself for his family's safety. She has the power of super strength. So she is like the She-Hulk of the family, if you guys get that Marvel reference. With her super strength, she helps the people in the village do all sorts of tasks, like round up the donkeys when they've left their, enclosure. She actually like even lifts up a church and moves it over to, I guess, a more solid foundation. And so because of her super strength, so many of the villagers rely on her to get things done. And because, Luisa was raised in a family where you have to give and use your gifts for good, right? Okay, are we following where I'm going here with this conversation? Use your gifts for good and give back to the community because you've received this amazing gift of and blessing of this power. And so that's the main driving force behind Luisa's actions and those of her family members, right? Is to constantly give back to the community as a show of gratitude for what they have. Okay, are you guys relating to some of the ideas here and some of the themes about giving, and that when you have so much, it's important that you give to other people? And those are beautiful, beautiful things. But this is where we get into trouble, guys. All right, are you ready for this? When we make giving our priority, what ends up happening is we diminish the ability to receive. Why so many people feel exhausted or tired or burnt out? Have you ever felt that before? Tired, exhausted, burnt out? The reason why that happens is because there is an imbalance between this giving and receiving dynamic. So everything in this existence falls down to balance. Are you in balance with giving and receiving? Right? It's kind of, and this analogy can be a bit outdated and overused, but it's so applicable. When we get in our car and we drive around getting to our destinations, at some point we have to put gas in the tank, right? We have to refuel. That's just the way it is. We can't just expect the car to run without receiving the energy in the form of its fuel that it needs to keep going, that it needs to take action. And so, applying that concept into our life, yes, it's a beautiful and wonderful thing to be able to give to others. But there comes a point when you actually are giving too much. You are an imbalance between giving and receiving. That is when a lot of us experience that thing called burnout or fatigue, when we are not receiving that fuel and that energy to allow our bodies and our spirits to continue to give back, because we are a vehicle ultimately for energy to flow, right? And so flow has to be cyclical in nature. Energy out has to equal energy in. That's the way our body works. It's even like urinating, right? We drink fluids and we release fluids, right? When we urinate, and we have to drink to replenish, to be hydrated, and then we release the fluid, which gets rid of some waste products in our body. So I totally went into like the scientific realm here, I know. So let's just get back on track. What happened to Luisa Madrigal in the story? She got burnt out. And she first noticed this burnout when she started to notice a little bit of weakness, because she attributed so much of her identity to giving and being a giver and doing things for her family and for the townsfolk, that she didn't understand who she was if she wasn't giving something, if she wasn't providing, if she wasn't doing for the community. She started to question her self-value. And I mean, listen to the words of her song, guys. Her song is called Surface Pressure, I believe. So look it up and just listen to the lyrics of this song. I bet you'll be able to relate in more than one line of this song. And so she started to feel weakened when she realized that she wasn't taking enough time to relax and nurture herself and make sure that her needs were met. And what I'm talking about is not taking in excess, because you don't want to receive in excess yourself to the point where you're not giving, right? And then now you're just hoarding energy rather than letting that energy flow out, right? She realized that she wasn't receiving and she wasn't allowing herself the simple pleasure of just taking the day to rest and relax. She felt that she constantly had to keep doing, right? In order for her life to have meaning or for her life to have value. Can you relate to that notion at all? Can you kind of empathize, sympathize with Luisa's that sort of internal struggle here between giving and receiving? And so the whole point of this story here that Luisa Madrigal has to share with us is take a moment now and just do an energetic catalog. What does that even mean? It's just something that I totally popped into my head not that long ago. Take a catalog of the ins and outs of your energy on a day-to-day basis. The outs of your energy would be the things where you give your energy and your time to something or to someone else. So you can maybe just look at this as like hours in a day. So how many hours of the day do you dedicate giving to someone or something else? Okay? And then what I'd like you to do is now take a catalog of the energy in, okay? The receiving part. How much time of your day do you dedicate to receiving energy? Doing something that energizes you. Something that has the pure function of re energizing you. And so, one example of that would be sleep. How many hours of a day do you get quality sleep to re energize yourself? So, I'd like you to do a little bit of math here and calculate the energy in and the energy out that you have on a day to day basis. And what I'd like you to look at is there a balance? Meaning, are the numbers, the amount of hours a day you spend, in harmony? Are they balanced? Are they roughly equal? If you find that there is an imbalance here between the energy out and the energy in, and the things that you're receiving versus the things that you're putting out and giving out to others, then how can you make an adjustment to your energy in and your energy out so that you could feel less tired, less fatigued, less burnt out, and instead feel more energized and nourished and ultimately more joyful? Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this video today. If you got anything out of value from this video, please make sure to hit that like button. It would mean a great deal to know that the messages that I'm sharing are reaching you and impacting you in a positive way. And if you enjoyed this content, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. That would be much appreciated. So sending you all so much love and so much soul nourishment and light. And until next time, take care. Mahalos.